Hello, so today I'm doing some gardening tasks, including pruning back this Bloomerang Dark Purple Lilac. So this is supposed to be a reblooming lilac, and the ideal thing to do is to trim it back, all the spent blooms, trim them back right after they've bloomed. So I'm actually a couple weeks behind, and as you will see, I've started trimming it, but I've noticed there's some new growth, and you want to actually be trimming it ideally before that new growth starts. And here I have my little pop-up bag for my cuttings, and I have some lovely lavender that's starting to bloom underneath, so it's a pleasant job being in here. But let me show you up close. So you can see this here is a spent bloom, and you want to just snip those off. And if you look really closely here, you can see that there's some new growth here, new leaves growing here. So ideally you want to be trimming before those new leaves start to grow. And in my experience, the second bloom of this isn't that great, so it's not that worth it for me, but I thought I would give it a try again this year and see what happens. This is quite a big bush now. This has grown up to the height of the fence here. And when I planted it, it was just like in a 1-gallon pot. So in a few short seasons, it's grown up to be basically, I'd say, 4 or 5 feet, maybe a little bit less. So let's get to trimming. Not the funnest job, but yeah, you can see like how many spent blooms there are. It was glorious when it was in bloom. It smelled really lovely, but it's a task that's got to be done. All right, so I know it's hard to see because I have a honeysuckle in the background here, but this is my Bloomerang lilac, and I've trimmed it up the best I could. I couldn't really get too far back there, but I trimmed off as many of the dead blooms as I possibly could, and yeah, it's not a fun job. It's actually quite tedious. So I don't know, maybe a regular lilac is more worthwhile, depending on how much tolerance you have for these kind of annoying tasks. It's easy just to put a podcast on and do it though. So hopefully it'll be worth it. Last year I wasn't too impressed with the rebloom, but we'll see what happens. So lilacs grow on, or they bloom on old wood. So you want to do all your trimming as soon as possible after the blooms. I should have done it a couple weeks ago, but anyways, you can also prune it for size at this point. So, if I wanted to trim it down a little bit, I could do that. Might sacrifice the second bloom, but I think I'm going to leave it like that. This area actually overgrew what I expected, because the lavender there is like humongous. Like it's either Munstead or Hidcote. I can't remember which one, but you can see there's like 3 plants there, and they're really happy. So they are kind of taking over, so it's a little bit hard to get in there. And here I have my Crown Princess Margareta rose, and you can see this is like a spray of buds, and here we have kind of a new bloom. Isn't that a beautiful color? That's a pretty fresh bloom. And this is a little bit more faded out bloom. So it fades out into a lighter color. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful climbing rose. And you can see just a palest color there. There's a bud, darker bud there, and a lighter bud here. So I haven't really done much with this. I'm just gonna keep it deadheaded. There's a clematis growing through, which hasn't bloomed yet. I think it's a Jackmanii. And I should show you actually. I had these, I believe they're Gladiator alliums I'd planted in here, these 3. And I read that the seed heads here take away energy from the bulb. So you want the bulb to keep all the energy, so you should cut it down. So what I've done is I've cut it back. And the person I was watching said that when you cut it back, you can actually just dig it back into the ground if you want, just to keep the look. And then you can also spray paint it if you want to. So that's also an option. But because it is so crowded back there and no one sees it anyways. I just cut it down instead of digging it back in, just sticking it in there. And I found this massive weed. I'm not sure what kind of weed this is, but this is a gigantic weed that was hiding under my rose, and it was, look at that taproot. It was a beast to pull out. So this job of trimming back the lilac bush, deadheading this rose, pulling out any obvious weeds, done for now. Okay, now we've done that annoying task of trimming that lilac bush's old blooms. We're going to turn to this bed here in the front of the house, high visibility area, and we have to cut back the old daffodil foliage and take care of some weeds, maybe do some top dressing. You can see these roses are blooming now. Such a vibrant color. We have a red one over here, a pink, really vibrant one here. This guy, I thought he had not made it through our brutal cold snap in the winter, but I see buds and all that red is new growth. It might be from the rootstock, I'm not really sure. And we have some weeds in the phlox, some random cosmos. And then we have this purple pillar here, which the color, I'm not sure. It's looking a little bit nutrient deficient, maybe iron deficient. So I think I have to give that some fertilizer because it's not looking great. And the weeds that are prevalent in this garden bed are, I think it's called Oxalis. That's that really annoying one right there. And you can see that this yellow flower, that's how it flowers. So we have to try to take care of that. It's a never-ending task in this particular garden bed, but let's see how far we get. All right, so here's our after shot of our garden bed here after it's been weeded and trimmed back. All the daffodil foliage has been cut back. I cut back some of the creeping phlox just to tidy it up a bit and reinvigorate it. The alliums that I had cut from the other bed, I've dug into this bed here just for now, temporarily. Like I said, I had watched a video where the woman said that rather than letting them go to seed like that, it's better to cut them back just because the bulb needs the energy rather than it going to seed. And you can just dig them into the ground like this. So let's try it and see how that looks. And I don't know if I'm into spray painting them, but I'll leave them there for now rather than throw them away into the compost. And dug out a lot of the weeds. There was this Oxalis, which is all mostly gone. I dug it out by the root as much as I could, and it's looking a lot better. So I'm just gonna give it a water, wash all this stuff back in. It's already been fertilized, so you can see like kind of the rose food in there. That's kind of a calcium rose food there, and hopefully we can wrap this project up. And I'm very happy with how it looks, much better than how it was before. And I also just wanted to share this bed, even though I didn't weed it, just because it is so thickly planted, just how beautiful it looks as the sun sets. The Crown Princess Margareta rose is looking so lovely with the sun behind it. Just a beautiful, beautiful rose.